the heart of this nation, under skies so blue,
there's a spirit that's stirring, values strong and true.
from the mountains to the prairies, from the cities to the sea, we stand for liberty, for faith and family. We're diving deep into the heart of what we believe.
You know, just when you think you have a grasp on, well, the usual pace of city politics, something really quite unexpected pops up.
Definitely. This one certainly stands out.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a rather unusual incident. It played out late one night, reportedly involving folks right inside Boston City Hall's circle.
It's not every day you hear about a police report detailing this kind of late-night altercation involving members of the mayor's staff.
Yeah.
It caught my eye for sure.
Absolutely. So at the heart of this, we have Marwa Khudaynazar and Chulan Huang. They both work for Mayor Wu.
Right. And according to the source we're looking at today, an article from Hot Air, which itself cites a police report and some colorful tweets from Howie Carr. They were romantically involved.
Yeah, Carr even coined a phrase for it, the bite out in Chinatown. So our aim here is really to unpack the details from these sources. What happened? What do the sources highlight? And maybe what does it suggest about, the dynamics inside a political office?
And just to be crystal clear for everyone listening, we're sticking strictly to what's in these reports. We're not adding outside info or taking sides, just looking at the facts as presented.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get into the timeline. The initial report, it sounds like things started, around 2:09 a.m. on a Thursday?
That's the time mentioned, yeah. A 911 call came in, apparently placed by Khudaynazar herself.
And what was her initial complaint? What did she report?
According to the Hot Air piece, she first told the dispatcher that Huang had taken her phone and her car and, left.
Okay, but he didn't say gone.
No. By the time police officers got to the scene, Huang had actually returned to the residence.
And it wasn't exactly a peaceful scene when they arrived, from the sounds of it?
No. The report suggests officers could hear shouting as they approached the apartment door. And when they went in, the door was apparently open. They found Huang, who was shirtless, and Khudaynazar, who was reportedly yelling, "Please let me go."
Wow, that's quite a scene to walk into. And the officers noticed something else pretty quickly, something physical.
Yes. The police report, as cited in the article, noted multiple bite marks on Huang's chest and also on his arms.
Bite marks. Okay. So what did Huang tell the officers? What was his explanation for all of this?
Well, Huang reportedly told the investigating officer that the whole thing started because Khudaynazar had gone out on a date with his boss.
His boss. Okay, that's a twist.
And that they'd apparently booked a hotel room. He claimed she then came back to their place specifically, and this is the phrase used, to rub it in his face. He also apparently admitted taking her phone, said he read her messages, and that's what led him to, quote, run out the back door.
Sounds incredibly tense, but then Khudaynazar's side of the story, it seems to have shifted, and her actions when the police were there are, pretty notable.
They are. Initially, she reportedly said the biting was self-defense. She claimed Huang wouldn't let go of her arm.
Okay, self-defense.
But the article points out, when the officers decided to arrest Huang based on the evidence, her story allegedly changed. She apparently said she had lied about that part, the part about him holding her arm.
That's a significant change. And then, according to the reporting, she tried to invoke their jobs, like use their positions to influence the police.
That's what's alleged, yes. The article says she brought up their employment, apparently stating something like, "We work for the mayor's office."
Trying to get the officers to back off, maybe?
It's implied that was the intent, yes. But it seems it didn't work, and her actions reportedly escalated from there.
Escalated how? Physically?
The police report, as cited, details some alleged physical interference. It mentions her shutting a door on one officer.
Shutting a door on an officer?
Yes, and also physically blocking another officer from leaving the apartment through a certain door, telling him to use a different exit.
And challenging him.
Reportedly, when the officer insisted, she said, "So make me move."
That's quite confrontational. And it didn't stop there, did it? There was more alleged physical contact.
It seems so. The article mentions she also refused to provide ID and apparently gave conflicting information about where she actually lived.
Okay.
And then the most serious physical allegation came when an officer tried to move her hand. The report states she, quote, ripped her hand out of the officer's hand and pushed the officer's right hand and proceeded to strike the officer on the chest.
Striking an officer, that really takes things to another level. And meanwhile, Huang, who was presumably under arrest by this point, made another comment.
Yes, from the back of the police cruiser, Huang reportedly said, "We both work for the city. This is unnecessary."
Unnecessary. That's an interesting choice of words in that moment.
It certainly gives you a glimpse into his perspective right then.
It really does. So let's get a bit more context on these two individuals. Professionally, what do they actually do for the city?
Okay, so Marwa Khudaynazar, her title is Chief of Staff at the Office of Police Accountability.
Chief of Staff. Police accountability. That seems particularly relevant given the circumstances.
It does. Her listed annual salary is $83,769.77. The Hot Air article also includes some background, describing her as an Afghan-American refugee who came to Boston at an early age.
Okay. And Chulan Huang.
His role is neighborhood business manager. His salary is listed as $70,469.22.
Right.
And he's described as an immigrant from China, also arriving as a young child. The article notes he enjoys powerlifting.
Interesting detail. And we mentioned Howie Carr's commentary earlier.
Yes, his bite out in Chinatown label has stuck. And he's used some pretty pointed terms: biter, victim, city hall hacks from foreign lands. That kind of language is definitely part of the narrative now.
And there was one more detail about Huang mentioned in connection with the police report.
Yes. The article, referencing a tweet about the police report, mentions that Huang apparently had some outstanding warrants in Chelsea at the time.
Outstanding warrants. Okay, another layer to this. So, how has Mayor Wu's office responded officially to all of this? It must be, well, awkward at least.
The article suggests Mayor Wu was, quote, not amused, which seems like an understatement.
You'd think so.
The immediate action reported was that both Khudaynazar and Huang were placed on unpaid leave, effective immediately, pending an investigation by the city.
Unpaid leave. That sounds like a standard but serious first step. Any official statements beyond that?
Yes, a city spokesperson put out a statement. It emphasized, the seriousness of the allegations and stressed the high standards expected of public servants.
Standard procedure, but necessary.
Absolutely. And in another telling action, both of their biographies were removed from the official city website pretty quickly.
Wiped from the site. That signals they're taking this very seriously internally. And what about the external reaction? Media. Public chatter.
Well, as the Hot Air article puts it, the press is having a field day. It's a pretty sensational story involving city officials.
I can imagine. Any particular angle getting a lot of attention?
Definitely the question Huang raised. Who was the boss that Khudaynazar allegedly went on this date with? That seems to be a major point of speculation and interest.
Ah, yes, the mystery boss. That detail really fuels the fire, doesn't it? And the article suggests this whole thing could be damaging for the administration.
It frames it that way, yes, as potentially negative publicity. And there's also been some commentary, noted via a tweet from the @Anti-Wu Coalition, about how different news outlets are covering it.
How so?
They pointed out one specific WCVB headline that apparently focused on the domestic dispute aspect, but didn't initially mention the alleged assault on the police officer, suggesting perhaps a difference in emphasis.
Interesting observation on the media framing. Okay, so let's just pull the main threads together here.
Right.
We have this late night incident. It's at what seems to be the shared home of two city employees who are also romantically involved. There are allegations of biting.
A shifting story from one individual.
Right, invoking their city jobs with the police.
Alleged physical obstruction, and then the alleged striking of an officer.
Plus that comment from the back of the cruiser, this is unnecessary. And now, outstanding warrants and the mystery boss question hanging in the air.
It's really quite a collection of events. Far from your typical City Hall news.
Definitely not. And as we've said, we've tried to stick just to the details reported in the sources we had. No adding, no taking away.
Exactly. Just laying out what's been reported.
So it leaves you, the listener, with a pretty interesting question to think about, doesn't it? When something like this happens, involving people in positions of public trust, what does it really suggest about the pressures, the environment, maybe even the interpersonal dynamics within a city government setting?
It's a complex question. It touches on that blurry line between personal lives and professional conduct for public figures. And of course, how incidents like these impact public trust, the internal workings of the administration, and the whole idea of accountability. It gives you a lot to consider about what goes on behind the scenes.
Can make sense. faith and family. We're diving